The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that's doomed.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see your access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
You've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population. This place absolutely outshines it.
It's Tuesday, the 4th day of August, 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and much love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. And folks, wow, what a weekend. What a weekend. Got a lot to touch on this morning, a lot to discuss. But how's everyone feeling today? How was your cup match weekend? Did anything fun, anything that maybe I wouldn't do? I'm a responsible male, so, I don't do anything crazy, But how was your weekend? We've got Sonia J. Gibbons says, good morning, and a good morning to you. We've got Mark Arthur C. Says, good morning. What a pleasant surprise. A TDH OG. Original gangster, I think that means. I think he's talking about Carla. I think that's what OG means, by the way, folks. I'm still kind of hip. Do young people say hip? I'm still down. Do they say down? You know what I mean. I'm still kind of got it. I've got it. Anyway, though, honestly, seriously, happy Monday to you all, man. It's been a long weekend, a long time away from us. Last show was really 1 week ago today, so don't usually take breaks this long. But that said, we've got to have a discussion, and we'll have that in a bit. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. How Carla went from media professional to FIFA agent. Well, media professional and original TDH host Carla Zul stops by to share her journey beyond Bermuda. I love these stories. I really do love these stories. And people grow beyond their environments and experience their version of success. So really looking forward to the conversation with Carla. The daily play is going to be a remember when. Yep, a remember when. And audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, well, here's your question of the morning. What lessons should we take away from this year's cup match? What lessons should we take away from this year's cup match? So bear with me for a second, because I often have to remind people that when I get behind this microphone, my goal isn't simply to be another mouthpiece talking about problems. My hope is to drive solution-based conversations about the issues impacting Bermuda and hopefully challenge us to think differently. As many of you know, cup match is my favorite holiday. I love the cricket, but even more than that, I appreciate what the holiday represents. To me, it's about commemorating Emancipation Day and Mary Prince Day. The cricket is part of the celebration, but it isn't the reason for it. After last year's cup match at Wellington Oval, I left concerned by the behavior of some players and spectators. And after giving it a lot of thought, I decided that this year I was going to disconnect completely. I didn't watch the match. I didn't listen to the commentary. I just wanted to step away. Ironically, I found myself even more concerned this year than I was last year. Before a ball was even bowled, the match was delayed because Somerset Cricket Club discovered someone had interfered with the scaffolding. Now, while I understand people being frustrated after waiting hours just to get into the ground. I actually commend the club for taking the necessary precautions. Now, imagine if they had ignored it and something tragic had happened. Honestly, safety had to come first. Then there's the cricket itself. You know, before cup match, I said that St. George's has a talented group of young players coming through. I still believe that players like Keegan Jones, Luke Horan, and others have the potential to become some outstanding cricketers. So talent isn't the issue. Leadership is. You know, on selection night, Stephen Otterbridge made the point that no one in the current St. George's team has ever won cup match. I still struggle with that statement because there are players in that dressing room who've represented St. George's for years. They may not have won the cup, but they have experienced the cup match. They've lived the pressure. They've worn the colors. Those players should be helping to guide the younger ones, not just with cricket, but with what it means to represent St. George's and this holiday. Historian Rashida Godwin often says that young people understand the history. That when young people understand the history, it changes how they see each other. And I believe the same applies to cup match. Over the past few years, what we've witnessed from some players suggests a lack of understanding of what cup match truly represents, or a lack of respect for it. When the Friendly Societies established this tradition to commemorate emancipation, I can't imagine they envisioned a day when the history would become secondary to behavior that distracts from the meaning of the occasion. You see, losing isn't the issue. In sport, someone wins and someone loses. But how you conduct yourself in victory and defeat says everything about your character. Despite the weather delays, everything that happened before play began, Somerset still managed to blow St. George's out twice in one day. That simply isn't about talent. It's about preparation and discipline, attitude, and leadership. And for me, the conversation goes beyond cricket. It goes beyond cup match. It speaks to something we're seeing in Bermuda more broadly. How we prepare our young people, how we mentor them, how we pass on values, how we respond to adversity. Those are lessons that extend far beyond the cricket field. If we're serious about preserving what cup match represents, then we have to be just as intentional about preserving the standards and leadership and respect that come with it. That's not a cricket problem. That is a Bermuda conversation. Again, audience, regardless of who you cheer for, what you represent, the question of the morning, very simple. What lessons should we take away from this year's Cup Match Classic? Give it some thought, share your comments. We'll be back with the conversation and, of course, our daily poll. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
All righty, welcome back. Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. The question of the morning, what should we take away from this year's cup match? And here's the poll question right here. The poll for the morning is good leadership more important than talent in building a winning team? Is good leadership more important than talent in building a winning team? 1 for yes, 2 for no. But I want to touch on something real quickly. I want to start with the whole scaffolding thing. It was brought to my attention that people were angry with Somerset Cricket Club, saying this is a fiasco, this is a poorly executed event, and so on. And I wonder if those folks, in hindsight, are grateful for Somerset actually doing what was necessary to ensure that everyone was safe. The anger, honestly, based on my understanding, the anger shouldn't be directed at Somerset Cricket Club. The anger should be directed at whoever. Now, it could be one of my friends, it could be one of my relatives, I don't know. But the anger should be directed at that person who selfishly interfered with the scaffolding. That should be a concern to everyone. Now, how do we avoid something like that in the future? Do we need to invest more in security to make sure that people are not touching things? Do we need more outside investment from the private sector to ensure that we no longer need scaffolding? This is a broad question today. What lessons should we take away from this year's cup match? This is a broad question for a reason. Because we can focus on the embarrassment that was the result for St. George's, at least. But the way we react and respond, and I know it's hard and people were out there for hours waiting. But wouldn't we rather be safe than sorry? Wouldn't we rather take the necessary precautions to ensure that we are not injured or tragically anyone loses a life? Again, I hope in hindsight, people understand that the best thing that happened was for Somerset to do that. Now, as far as the cricket goes, or the holiday itself, I think it's a great time to remember that cup match is really so much bigger than cricket. And I don't know how many times we need to share. And let me be clear, because I've said it on recent programs. Yes, things evolve. But the significance should never be forgotten. I'll give an example. Christmas has evolved, right? But the significance to so many isn't forgotten. You know, I spent part of my time, I attended the Emancipation Story at Somerset Cricket Club on the 22nd of July. And Rashida Godwin, who was presenting from Titan, shared a book. And I purchased that book and I read that book while I was on vacation in Belize. And as I'm reading this book, the Mary Prince story, my disappointment appeared again. My disappointment that I had after going to Somerset Cricket Club that night. I can understand why current players and coaches are not in that room. But what about former coaches with their children, former players with their children, former captains with their children? Where were they? And as I read that book, I thought of Cup Match 2025 and the players and how things turned out. I thought of the spectators. And years gone by, I think it was 2015, where some behavior took place, sexual behavior down at St. George's Cricket Club. I believe it was 2015. And I just thought of the disrespect that we collectively continue to show to those who came before us. You all could say, oh, I'm miserable, grumpy, let it go. Cup match was last week. No, this is not a cup match problem. This is who we've become. It's who we've become. Who cares who fought for what and how it benefits me? I think it will go a long way in ensuring that those who at least partake in the game do some sort of courses, or not even a course, a class, to understand that this game was given to both clubs by the friendly societies. And when they go on that pitch, they're not just representing St. George's or Somerset, they're representing the history, the emancipation, the freedom that the enslaved celebrated. That's what lesson I believe we should take away from it. There needs to be a connection between those who are out there playing the game and those who came before them. That's missing. And if we get there, I think we'll start to see the change. But that's going to take sacrifice, and it's going to take some really tough looks in the mirror. Because your most talented player or players, they may have to miss a cup match or two. Once you understand things differently, you start to operate differently, or at least you should. Folks, let's go to the audience again. Question of the morning: what lessons should we take away from this year's Cup Match Classic? This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. And also, here's the poll question: is good leadership more important than talent in building a winning team? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Let's go to the audience, see what you all are saying this morning. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, we learned that winning isn't everything. Joke. I sound like a St. George's fan. Seriously, while I was disappointed with St. George's play, I was proud of how they conducted themselves, especially in celebrating the retirees. Yes, I was told of that, with Dion and Malachi. And that's the sportsmanship we definitely want to see year in and year out. Sonia J. Gibbons says, I'm a St. George's supporter, not by choice, but from heritage. Cricket is my first love. I spoke years ago that once Jeff Richardson took, we would never win the cup back. When Jeff Richardson took charge, she means. I also feel the same way with Tucker. The bad behavior by St. George's players should never play cup match again. Well, to me, last year was behavior, what I witnessed. This year, I think it's more attitude. I'm sorry, but when I was young, I played sports. I was very competitive. I coached as an adult. And although coaching young people is about development, you still want to build a fighting spirit in them. You want to build something in them, some character where they understand that even if you lose, you're not going to just be embarrassed. There's a way to lose. There's a way to lose. And one thing I've learned about sports over the years, it's not always the most talented team that wins. I think, nobody expected the New York Knicks to win the NBA championship this year. I mean, Jalen Brunson was criticized over and over and over for not being big enough. But he possesses a fight, a hunger, a desire to win that outweighed that criticism. I don't think, if we're honest, on paper, the New York Knicks are really better than San Antonio Spurs. Are they really that much better than the Sixers of last season to sweep them? Again, the leadership, the desire. It takes so much more than talent. The right attitude. Charles H. Jefferson II says, St. George's Cricket Club's leadership did what they had to do to ensure the safety of everyone. Leadership isn't about making popular decisions. It's about making the right decision, regardless of what others may think. I agree. No, I want to say something as well. I want to address cricket and coaching and leadership. Look, I don't know what goes on within Somerset Cricket Club. I don't know what goes on necessarily in St. George's Cricket Club. Look, I don't even know what goes on in my own football club, my community club, North Village. I don't, as much as I work with them on certain things. So I don't want to say that, give some off-the-wall opinion about what St. George's should do. I don't know what conversations President Neil Painter and Coach Clay Smith and the others are having. I don't. What I will say from the outside, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Clay Smith needs to resign or he needs to be fired or this or that. I'm going to use Manchester United for and I don't know if you follow football, but since 2013, when Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Manchester United has not won, pretty much almost the same streak as St. George's Cricket Club. And Manchester United has fired manager after manager, brought players in, let players go. It hasn't worked. I'm not sitting here to make excuses for Clay Smith. I'm not going to do that. He's a man who has much more experience and understanding of cricket and coaching than I. So I'm speaking from the outside. I'm not here to defend him, and I'm not here to critique him. But what I'm saying is that if I look at Manchester United, David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ralph Rangnick, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Eric Ten Hag, and now Michael Carrick. I stopped counting. But in 13 years, they've changed manager after manager after manager. And I think people finally realize it's not the coach or manager, it's the structure, it's the system. Sometimes removing someone or someone leaving doesn't eliminate the problem, is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Again, not making excuses for Clay Smith or Neil Painter, but it's a structural issue that many may be overlooking. And that's what I think we need to focus on. Are they part of the structural issue? Maybe. Maybe. But I think there are some takeaways. And you all don't have many suggestions this year. I thought you had more opinions, but what lessons should we take away from this year's cup match? That leadership matters. From Somerset Cricket Club, taking the initiative to ensure the safety of everyone on the grounds, to the display by St. George's players to the retirees, to Somerset's dominance over St. George's in one day. Last time, the loss of 3 or 4 hours. Leadership matters. You know, I'm just going to say this, and I know we're not talking politics today. Someone said to me yesterday, ELP member, not sure if they're a delegate, but I think they're a Curtis person. And they said to me, this man has to fake or put out all these social media hit pieces to try to win this. Maybe the people in the party just don't want you. And that is the kind of leadership that is doomed to fail. When the players on the team don't want you, it's either, you look at it two ways. The coach steps aside or you pick a whole new team. I'm not saying what I think should be done. I'm just saying we have to look at things, what may be easier. All right, folks, 100% of you say good leadership is more important than talent in building a winning team. I think I would agree with that. Should daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Let's show them some love. Don't forget, we've got Carla coming up, talking about her journey. She's a FIFA licensed agent. Look, folks, I know how to kick a ball. I mean, I've got a little coaching badge as well. Maybe she could help get me my $1 million contract. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Folks, it's Tuesday, first show of the week. And we have a Bermudian icon for you today. Let's show some love for today's Bermudian icon, brought to you by our friends at ZipX.
Welcome to TDH's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at ZipX. What does it take to completely change the way an entire country thinks about sports? Jessica Lewis has a pretty good answer. Born with a rare congenital spinal condition called diastematomyelia, which left her paralyzed from the waist down, Jessica didn't spend her career asking people to lower the bar. She raised it. She's represented Bermuda at multiple Paralympic Games, won international medals, broken national records, and established herself as one of the planet's elite wheelchair racers. But her biggest victory might not be on the track. Before Jessica, many Bermudians saw Paralympic sport as something different, maybe even something less than. Through years of relentless excellence, she has helped to change that. Today, when Jessica Lewis competes, Bermuda's not watching an athlete with a disability. We're just watching one of our greatest athletes, period. And changing the way an entire country sees excellence, that's a legacy that lasts way longer than any finish line. And that's today's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at ZipX. Now back to the show.
Big up to Jessica Lewis doing a thing, folks. If you haven't already, make sure you follow Bermudian Icons on your favorite social media platforms. Make sure you're showing some love. That's another thing. Young people need to know who our icons are. They need to know the stories of people who paving the way for them. Jessica Lewis, the latest, paving the way for those. Look, whatever your situation is, she's proven that you can find a way to be successful at something that you want to do. So big up to Jessica Lewis. Again, that is your Bermudian icon this week, brought to you by ZipX. All right, days of the year, folks. It's chocolate chip cookie day. Chocolate chip cookie day. So I want to ask you, when it comes to the chocolate chip cookies, are you like the soft or the hard? Which chocolate chip cookie do you like it soft or hard? I'm going to be honest, I like a soft one, and the reason for, I'm already a messy eater. And when you eat the crunchy ones, the crumbs get all over me. And then it's evidence that I've been, all in my beard, on my face, that I've been eating chocolate chip cookies. And I don't really like people knowing what I've been eating. So let me know, in honor of Chocolate Chip Day, do you like them soft or hard? This is a morning show. Soft or hard? We've got Jewel Eve says soft. Okay. Says soft. Okay. Yeah, soft any day. Even like soft oatmeal cookies, right? Sherilyn Johnson says soft. Okay, we got some soft. Is there anyone who prefers the hard? Seriously, soft just is less mess, folks. It's less mess. All right, folks, this is your daily discussion this morning, brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Philip Bell says soft as well. WKD Llama, man. I like whichever type I have in my hand. I hear you. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, I like soft and warm, preferably with nuts. Okay. Chocolate chip cookie with nuts. Okay. Hard says, we've got Karen Simmons says hard. Nicole Walker says hard. We've got hard with macadamia nuts, says 911 Island Girl. I've never had it. All right. I guess I'm losing my card. Am I the only one who has never had a chocolate chip cookie with nuts? We're going to do a commercial break because you all ain't about to make me feel less than this morning. We'll be right back. Got Carla Zoo coming up. Stick with us.
Guess what? Bermuda's most popular game is back. That's right, Shoe Buy is back in stores. But wait, there's more. The brand new Shoe Buy Summer Edition is here too. Bring the laughs, the vibes, the friendly chaos to your barbecues and summer get-togethers with Bermuda's favorite game. Don't miss your chance to get yours. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on social media to learn more.
One Lucky Bucks in the summer edition has a golden ticket with the chance to win a grand prize courtesy of One Communications.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast. saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Ace boy, I see you got your US cash. Traveling again? Rich auntie, what's your secret?
Nah, I just use the new HSBC Bermuda travel website.
I know about cash back, but it's got a travel website too?
Yeah, and it's lit. Flights, hotels, rentals, book it all in one spot and use your reward points instantly. No blackout dates, no delays. I'm going, bro.
What you mean use your points instantly?
Yeah, bro. Go on the site, see how many points you've got from all that shopping you've been doing. And if you ain't got enough for what you want, just use your HSBC credit card and top it up with some more points.
Okay, spend the points, stack some more. I see, I'm got you now.
I know, right?
Log on to redeem.hsbc.bm. Book your travel deal. Pay with your points. No blackout dates. Easy and hassle-free. Visit redeem.hsbc.bm and get going. HSBC, opening up a world of opportunity. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Ever taken medication and thought, why is this hitting me so hard? Or why isn't this doing anything at all? Here's something you may not know. Your body processes medication the same way it needs to process food, using enzymes. And these enzymes metabolize medication so it can be converted into its useful form or removed from your body. Pharmacogenetics looks at how your DNA influences the way your body metabolizes or breaks down medications. It helps explain why a drug that works well for one person causes side effects in another and barely works at all for someone else. That means the same pill at the same dose can feel very different from one person to the next. It's not about blame, it's not about doing something wrong, it's simply biology. And once you know what works best for you, medication decisions stop being guesswork and start becoming personalized.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamal Hartman here. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical, as Linda's People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to Hot 1075 for ensuring we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Real quickly, so I went to Belize. I went to Belize. I don't really get to take much time off. So I went to Belize over the holiday, and it was an adventure. And everyone keeps asking, well, what does that mean? I got my Meta glasses case stolen. My cigar case. Well, I had one cigar, so I guess they were saying, you know, the ancestors, you don't need to be smoking this stuff. So cool. You can rent. You don't rent cars. You rent golf carts there, right? So you drive around on a slow golf cart. So I now understand what tourists in Bermuda feel like driving those little fizzy things and like riding like the rental bikes. It's so slow. And it took us like probably 25 minutes just to get onto a regular road or like dirt road. Anyway, our golf cart broke down in the middle of nowhere on a path. Walked for like 45 minutes, about 2.5 miles, until flagged down a boat. And the boat called for help for us, and we got a ride. Yeah, but I still had a good time. You know, I was able to get some reading in and ate really good, as you can probably see in my face. Can't see my belly. But I'll say this, folks. Honestly, things that you really would have gotten me really mad years ago, like walking and sweating for like I don't like to sweat if I'm not working out. And then I did put my feet in the ocean as well. People like, oh, I had to walk to the bench. So I did put my feet in the ocean, but there were fish in there. And that I saw the sharks. And that's the other thing. A guy who was staying at my hotel, he got bitten by another shark. So I'm like, see, my point exactly. You all keep talking about, oh, you can't swim. Absolutely. I got a spa treatment. I got like a mud wrap. I got a facial. So I had a good vacation. I got downtown and I did have an incident though, folks. I don't look like a weed guy, do I? You know, I had a hoodie on, but it's like, summer wear. But I always attract them. But no, save your time. I'm not a sale. I'm not a sale. But it was a good time. It was a good time. I had, the spiny lobster because it's lobster season there. So I had some spiny lobster there. But yeah, it was a good vacation. So if anyone's never been and you just want to like kind of relax, I'm a different kind of vacation person. I don't need to do anything to have a good time. But I did. I went to Secret Beach. It's this restaurant there. Day one, I had some jerk chicken. It was phenomenal. Some of the best jerk chicken I've had outside of Jamaica. But then the second day, I don't think they put it on the smoker. They must have roasted some chicken, put some little gravy on it, try to serve it to me like I didn't come yesterday. Anyway, it was a good vacation, good time. I made the most of it and was able to disconnect. I did have my phone on airplane mode, but when I was in areas where there was Wi-Fi, I was connected. So, I can have some proof of life, if you will. But, and I saw some iguanas. I think one of them tried to attack me. Mark Arthur hit me up. He said, hey, man, don't show that to Carla. And I'm like, she's seen it already. And I think that's a great way to bring her in because I was going to recommend her going to Belize, but she asked, but are there iguanas all over the place? Yeah. Never mind. They're harmless. I mean, they look scary, but okay, I'm not going to say that. I did kind of run a bit once that one was coming at me, but that was just one of the million, right? But it was a good time, honestly. And I'll say to you, if you've never been, go. And people were asking me what made me go, even the people I went with, what made me choose Belize? And last year I was watching The Breakfast Club because the Diddy documentary came up. And I was just like, Jamal Shine Barrow, who went to prison for that situation with Diddy, he became an opposition leader or got into politics in Belize. But he was on The Breakfast Club speaking about it, and he sold me on it. He spoke with such passion and love for the car. I'm like, let me go try this. English speaking, Central America, why not? So yeah, it was a good time. Despite all that may have went wrong, it was a good time. All right, enough about my vacation now. Let's bring in someone more interesting than that. Let's give a warm TDH welcome. She's former co-host of the show, co-founder of it. And, she's been doing some things. She's a media person. Then she pops up and just talking about, oh, I can help you get a coaching job in England. Let's find out how. It's Carla Zul, folks. Give a warm TDH welcome. Oop, that's not the music we want. Sorry. That's the music we want. There we go. Carla, you there?
I am. Good morning.
Greetings. Well, first off, before we get into anything, welcome one and all that good stuff. Are you still afraid of lizards?
That's never going to change. I am terrified of lizards, reptiles, and all of their cousins. So that iguana that was coming up the steps to you, nope. And I asked him a few minutes ago, I was like, are iguanas everywhere? He said, yes. Sorry, can't do. And then I saw a video yesterday where a woman was on Iguana Beach, wherever it was, and iguana went up her face. I would have been creased. So no, I just don't like them. It's been a lifelong for.
So what happened in your life? Like, did the lizard
Nothing.
like fall on you or something?
I think from growing up the second with my at my granny's house, and you know how you troublesome little boys used to do the traps with the cane grass and chases with the lizards. Yeah. I think it's from that. But I tried to be a big girl. I was in Nigeria. And they crawl all over the place. I almost jumped into the middle of the road. My husband was like, girl, what are you doing? I just don't like them. And I'll navigate them and frogs.
Well, if it gives you any like comfort, they're afraid of us. I mean, that one that was coming at me was just unique. Like folks, if you can go on my Facebook page, it's public, and see the video where it was like coming at me, like it literally was coming. But that was a unique one. That one was unique. But they're harmless. Yeah, one
You
for
say a 1 in a million.
well, probably.
Nope.
Yeah, but I did hear that in South America, if you catch one, you can eat it. Would you eat it?
You lost your mind. In Florida, they say that. Remember when it was the cold snap in Florida
And
and
they
people were
were
collecting them and people were eating them? So my good friend, real quick, in Miami, she had them coming in her yard. I'm in the pool and in the trees had to
Mhm.
go in the house. So she sent me this article of she went to this yoga group and they
Mm.
were there, namaste. And an iguana fell out and all she heard was bonk. It hit this man in his head and knocked him out cold. Nah, not me.
So
Sorry.
that's unfortunate. So you wouldn't have any barbecue iguana, Carla?
Nope.
Mm.
You
Okay,
don't
so
eat your enemies, then they dream about you and come back. I had a magrana in my yard in Bermuda, and I used to spray it with water.
oh,
And then never go in the backyard because I was always afraid they'll jump on me in revenge. Nah.
you know what? That's why there's pigeons always pooping all over my car. Yeah, but I'm not eating pigeon. Well, anyway, Mark says the OG has returned. The original OG does stand for original gangster, right?
Hey, I'll claim it.
Okay, I'm
Been
just
30
making
years. It's been
I
30
don't
years.
want
I've
to
earned it.
over. So, look, welcome to the show. Welcome back. And today's conversation. Obviously, you've done some big things since you've your journey into the UK. But I want to start off because you know this, and this is not something that's new. We've talked about it time and time again that people leaving Bermuda, going to the UK in particular, people have a lot to say about them and why they left. But let's take it with you. Like, what was happening in your life and career when you decided it was time to leave Bermuda and build a new chapter in the United Kingdom?
So two things that were at play at the time. One was, as you know, Jamal, because we grew up together, the gang violence and being a journalist, being in the midst of it, having to report it, but then also literally living in it, watching my neighborhood be obliterated, being terrified that one of my children may get hurt or when my boys get older would be killed. That was one side of it. And then the other part, different parts of my life were imploding. And then one day in July of 2016, Johnny, who's my oldest son, he was 10 at the time, was doing a football showcase. And ironically, he got scouted, but I didn't know. And a gentleman came up to me. Naeem was just running on the sidelines. He was 6 at the time. Gentleman saw Naeem and he stopped me. He's like, "Is this your boy? I really think he's talented and there is opportunity for him. Have you ever considered living in the UK?" I said, "Nope." Because for me, my the way I saw UK was just dark and gray and blah, which it's probably the right portrayal. But I was like, no. And then he approached me again and was like, "Take my card, please reach out. I'm very serious." And he did this report on Naeem and he was like, "You have something." So fast forward December of 2016, 2 of my 3 children, 9 suitcases, a cousin who came with me, and I left, not seeing the UK at all. I just knew I was coming to Manchester, and the rest is history as such, as far as getting there.
And leaving him can bring both opportunity and sacrifice, right? Especially with 3 young children. What would you say were the biggest personal and professional adjustments you faced after relocating to the United Kingdom?
So personal was definitely hard because I've always raised my children and I left my daughter behind because she wanted to finish Berkeley. And I felt that rites of passage, she was 15. It's a big thing to graduate with your peers. And so I felt that I wanted to let her be happy. Professionally, I realized that my business at the time would not really be able to sustain because I had Today in Bermuda. I was, a known journalist, always on the scene. But when you're in UK, and I was still breaking stories before Bermudians were, but it just wasn't sustainable because of the time difference. So that's when I decided I had to pivot. And what would I do? I started to teach out here. I did that for about a year, taught in a behavioral school, but it wasn't my passion. And I'm like, I got to find a way to still make a way. and I started consulting. I applied for law school because, and ironically, I wanted to become an agent. And I thought that the only way to become an agent is to have a law degree, which I later found out wasn't true.
And that brings me to this. Like you tied it in. It's like you built a very respectable career in media. Like, what made you pursue something beyond that industry? Like, what made you want to even consider going into law?
Well, to be honest, I was getting tired of the media scene. I feel it's so funny, Jamal, when you talk about icons, right? And I'm going to say this humbly. I've put in my dues, and, I feel that in the media landscape, I am reaching icon status in Bermuda. May she rest in peace. Ciola Wilson was my icon. She's the reason I got into media. And then someone approached me and was like, you have two talented boys out here in the UK. And they were like, can I be their agent? And I was like, well, you're not more intelligent than me. So if anyone's going to be their agent, it would be me. And then I went on to apply for law school. So I got in, but because of the football commitment, because both boys by then had been scouted and were both signed academy players, there was no way that I would be able to balance school full time and balance their football. And then at that time, I was like 44 maybe, and they said it'll take about 4 years. And I said, I don't have 4 years to waste. So I just knocked it in the head and did a master's eventually in public relations. So I kind of switched to the other side of media again. And I did my master's in PR and digital communications.
Now, let's walk us through this. Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations on that, because I've done told you and many others, I'm not going back into a classroom to do no schooling. You all can say whatever, but I look, it took me about 8 years to get a bachelor's degree, folks. Like, we're not doing that. But you all know me. I'm not academically inclined. It took me some work. But let's speak about the FIFA agent process. Like, what did the qualification process involve, and what did achieving that milestone mean to you?
So can't talk about that till I talk about the journey as such, and just seeing how it's such a male dominated industry. And I was always, because I've been a single mom for so long, it was always me. And oftentimes, even now, I'm the only mother. Everyone else are couples, right? And then in coaching and administration with clubs, it's always males. And so one day, Naeem has an agent. Naeem's now 16, a first year scholar, and he has an agent. And in that process, he was approached by several agents, and they all had different strong points, but it was something about his agents where they were compassionate. They knew I had been doing this by myself, and they were like, we're going to take some of the load off of you. And I said, you know what? I'm a nurturer, period. This is something I could do. I'm intelligent. I love to talk. I'm a great communicator. So I did my research, and I was told the exam was going to be in June of 2026. So I went home. I came home to Bermuda last November, and I had just done some, surface level research. And I was asked to speak on this panel, and they said, what would be next for you? Because it was about women in entrepreneurship. And I said, you know what? I'm starting to study to become an agent. And once I put it out there, I'm like, I can't go backwards. So Carla's a procrastinator. Fast forward, it's now March, beginning of March, and they say the window is open. So you apply, they accept you or reject you. But I thought the exam was in June, and it said, pick your exam date, April 26th, 27th, or 28th. It was something like that. And I panicked, and I'm like, wait a minute, that is like just about a month. And Jamal, I put my head down. It was over 1,000 pages of study material. There are different techniques. The pass rate was 18%. And of that, only 5% of agents in the world are women. So I put my head down and I studied day and night, caught the flu the day before the exam, but I took it. And then I got my results. And I was just so elated. Like, my kids were like, Mama, I've never seen you put your head like this. I probably studied harder for this exam than I did for my entire time doing my master's.
I don't know this. I try to look it up, but I couldn't find anything. But do you know whether or not you're the first Bermudian woman? There was someone else, or another Bermudian woman?
Yes, ironically, my first cousin, Vinzi Zool.
Mhm.
So, Vinzi was the first agent in Bermuda, and Vinzi has actually been such an inspiration to me as a respected woman in the football industry because she's often the only female in male spaces. So,
Mhm.
Vinzi was the first agent, and I actually made inquiries to see if there were any other Bermudian agents at this moment, and there aren't any.
Mhm. Okay. Um, No, and I'm gonna come back to a few things you said earlier. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Carla, you can send them through. Speak to me about how your experience in media, particularly in communication and as a journalist, has prepared you for what to expect in the football space.
Well, communication is a I think underrated superpower. If you watch sometimes some of the players, they don't know how to speak or they hold their, they block their face. I watched a guy the other day do an interview like this, and I'm like, ah. So those are transferable skills. And oftentimes, the agent in their investment in this player, as well as the clubs do this, they do media training. So for me, with my agency, of course, I would embed that in there. But even the ability to communicate, to negotiate, I've actually already started doing that with um, scouts and players. You want to be succinct. No one wants to hear all the fluff. They just want to get to it. That's an acquired skill.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a transferable skill that works.
Mhm. I want to go back earlier. You spoke about icons and the late CeeLo Wilson and the like. Um, you obviously don't feel appreciated by your peers in Bermuda based on what you said. W- But you've continued to persevere, and accomplish things and do things, if not just for yourself, but your family. Um, there are people who feel the same way as you in Bermuda. They're in Bermuda and they just feel like no matter what I do, I'm not appreciated here. And they have to go, outside of Bermuda to actually, feel like they're worth something more. My former lawyer, Eugene Johnston, often said that in Bermuda, we can, celebrate the wrong things and wrong people. Um, what would you say to someone who probably feels how you feel earlier, like, but they're in Bermuda and saying, like, look, I don't get the love from Bermuda and Bermudians.
The thing of it is, Mao, and I was having a conversation with someone earlier. There are things that I've done in Bermuda 25 years ago that people are just doing now, right?
Mhm.
And because of course time passes, scenes change, people don't even realize that. But I think for me, what was a game changer in 2022, I won an award in London. I was nominated, someone nominated me for an award. It was unbiased. The people didn't know me. That felt good, right? Because sometimes in Bermuda, it is about who you know. I'm very vocal. I've actually mattered a lot in the last few years, but I'm known for being vocal and speaking out and not being afraid to be against the grain. I think that's been held against me. But when I won that award, it made me say, you know what? You don't need any recognition. I remember I used to always want to have a best of Bermuda, right? And I was a best of Bermuda judge years back. I wanted a best of Bermuda. For some reason, that validated me. And now it's like, whatever. People say, oh, you don't nominate yourself? No, it doesn't matter. Right. So I think sometimes as you grow and as you transcend and explore all those adjectives, you just become satisfied in self. So I tell my daughter at my funeral, I don't want to hear all this foolishness and all these accolades that you couldn't give me when I was alive.
Mhm.
But I am quite content with my achievements, and I don't need anyone to validate that for me anymore. So, what I would say to that person is be proud. If you know that you do good work, stand in it, be proud of it, and know that you're not going to get it from outside necessarily. And you definitely aren't going to get it from your friends and family. No
Mhm.
disrespect, but it just doesn't work that way. Right.
Yeah. I think I echo that. I've always felt that. I think, and I don't say this with disrespect. I just say this from a very strong perspective of seeing the patterns. Um, but I remember Teo used to get those things like best radio, and he literally, and I don't mean to put him out there, but he didn't recognize them because I don't think then or now he felt they held weight. I think the greatest gift that you can receive from others is the support that they give you by either spending money or giving you, anything that's going to help you make a living. At the end of the day, popularity doesn't determine quality, and I think that's something that over time you've probably figured out, right? That
Yeah.
popularity contests don't equate to quality.
But kudos to those who have won because, I don't want to take that away from it. It's just that it doesn't validate me anymore. I don't need that validation.
For sure, for sure. I'll get to the audience in a few. Actually, let's go to the audience now. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, "What an interesting journey. Do you think of how your life and that of your kids would be different if you remained in Bermuda? What advice would you give to those considering leaving Bermuda?"
Me and Kiki, who's my daughter, we were talking about this the other day, right? What if? And I'm big on therapy. I always talk about therapy. My therapist said, you don't know what would have happened if, right? But I tell you this, I would have been afraid. I probably would have moved because now that my son's a young man, that potentially makes them targets if we were still in Bermuda because of where we lived. For people who are considering moving, especially here to the UK, I will say this. Make sure, and I told a friend of mine this, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're running from something, it's just not going to work because this country is not necessarily easy to navigate all the time. I tell people it's a cold country, meaning you're not got reliance on, I'm Jamal's cousin, I'm Carla's brother, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't work. You are going to have to stick it out. It took me easily 3 to 4 years before I felt settled here. And I just got my license last year after driving without a license for 9 years. Don't judge me, okay? I can say it now because I've had the license. I drove with my Bermuda license illegally, always had my car insured, but I never got my license until last year. And then I felt like, wow, this is home. I'll be here 10 years this year. Be open because a lot of times people are trying to build, they want to emulate experiences of others. It's not that easy, right? So a lot of people would say, oh, I want to come and I want to live, Gospel Lane in Manchester because I know my cousin lives there. Well, there may not be houses available there. So what are you going to do? You're going to pack up and go back because you couldn't live where you wanted to? Or are you going to thug it out? I was supposed to live in a house in one area. The landlord pulled out 5 days before me and the boys were landing. I still came. I stayed in a hotel and then I ended up where I remained for 8 years. So you have to be open-minded. One of the best advice someone gave me was let go of Bermuda because the prices, for example, are very different and the pay is different. There are so many mental variables. I think it's the mental fortitude more than anything. If you are not strong mentally, don't even bother because people here just do not care. They get on with it and they don't care about who you're related to. They just want what they want and you need to get what you need to get.
How important has it been for you and your children to remain connected to Bermuda while building lives outside of Bermuda?
So when we arrived, the boys were 7. Naeem had just turned 7 and Ajani was 10. They are now 16 and 20, and they have no connection to Bermuda. I used to make a conscious effort to bring them back every other year so that I thought, ideally they'd come home, they want to fish and swim and do all the things that Bermudian boys do. Chase me with lizards if I had to. The boys are just not interested. They are UK kids, right? They are Bermudian inside of the house, how we talk, accents and stuff. But once they step out the door, they're British boys. You would not know that they weren't born here. For me, many people have said to me, Carla, let Bermuda go. You're bigger than Bermuda. But I do feel, and now with this 10 years coming up, I'm like, I don't want to come back, but I do want to spend more time because I feel that Bermuda's the country that poured into me. And I feel that I need to give it back to the generations behind me.
So you're returning to get involved politically sometime?
Everyone keeps asking me that. Everyone keeps asking me that. That would be, but not until I'm probably like in my mid 60s.
What?
Um,
You
because
don't you're a citizen anymore?
listen, I get frustrated because I can't vote and I'm always in Bermuda.
They finally put you
Um,
on the register?
yeah, they sure did.
Oh,
But please, that's a very sore spot for me
and
because I think it's biased, but
yes.
it's okay. But I do feel obligated. My parents are there, my family's there. I love Bermuda. My home is there, my daughter's there. So, but I just balance.
Mm,
I find it interesting when I'm in Bermuda. I used to get an anxiety for years when I came home. I'd get an anxiety.
mm,
Now Bermuda is starting to feel okay to be there, but it also doesn't feel like the Bermuda we grew up in. And I
mm,
think that's why I want to spend more time. It looks different. And I'm not talking about the landscape, I'm talking about the demographic,
yeah.
right? Seeing so many young Black men who look like they're mentally struggling. I never saw that when we were growing up. It's so profound to me now.
Mm,
The amount of places that look downtrodden and the grass overgrown, the roads. Somehow I just feel when I hear all this talk about emigration, I just feel, what can I do to give back into the community that made me who I am?
mm,
So I struggle with it. But the boys, and I struggle with that because I never thought they wouldn't want to be in their home country, but they just
mm.
have no desire. So they're like, "Mom, if you want to go, go. Save your money. We don't want to go. We'll stay here." Came home to work for 6 weeks last year, and guess what? They stayed here, and they were fine.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of conversations about immigration on this show, about Bermudians who are leaving, and one of the things I always think about is the children that are leaving with them and who are going to grow up no connection to Bermuda. And let's be honest, this is not hate, but it's just the change in demographics. One of the things that I saw in Belize that I'll be speaking about later this week is everywhere you look, there were these real estate signs, with prices in US dollars. And it really ticked me off because there was a real estate agent in the comments on one of the Daily Hours social media posts. And I'm challenged her. I'd love to have her on. I'd challenge any real estate agent to come on this show and have this discussion. But something really bothers me about seeing these signs in Belize and in any country where you got these favorable prices for people outside of the country, but the very people in these countries can't afford them. There's something very wrong with that picture. And, we always talk about, well, we need outside investment. That should never be at the expense of the people of a country. And there has to be a balance there. We have to strike a balance. Right now, there's this leadership race and all this stuff going on in Bermuda. The fact that we think a banker will help us in this situation is ludicrous to me. The fact that we think that, politics, the current system will get us out of this. This is a people thing. The people need to fight back, but we just don't fight like we used to. You speak about when we were younger. When we were younger, we saw union marching this and marching for that. You don't see that anymore. You don't see people up and fighting. But to your point, it's changed. I'm in Bermuda pretty often, right? I'm around Bermuda. I'm very connected to Bermuda, and it really breaks my heart. Some of the things I see, it does, and it saddens me to hear that your boys have no connection to Bermuda. But you know who I put that on? Bermuda not doing enough to ensure that there's a connection for those who have emigrated. I think it's Charles H. Jefferson II who asks on this show often, what is the government or what are we doing to bring Bermudians back? Based on this conversation, not enough.
So with Naeem as a national player, because he's represented Bermuda 3 times,
Mhm.
and it's a struggle for him because he wants to represent England. And I'm like, you're a Bermudian and you will represent, like, that is something that's non-negotiable for me, right? And some people may say, well, would he ever be able to represent England? He could. But for me, he is a Bermudian and he needs to serve his country. And I tell him, I'm like, Bermuda is our village. God forbid if anything should happen to me, I know that the village will rally around and make sure that my children are fine. They're not going to do that in the UK. I just don't believe in turning your back on your country, but I also feel that my connection to Bermuda was because I chose it, not because it chose me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to watch, especially the rents. I have people reaching out to me all the time, and I'm like, it's different between when you can't afford rent or when you have money and you can't afford rent.
Mhm.
And it just breaks my heart, but it's where we
Indeed.
are.
Let's go back to the audience. Judy Paul Benavy is asking, how do your boys feel about this? I think you being a FIFA agent. I think that's what she asked.
So people just assume that the reason why I became an agent was to be Naeem's agent. And I'm like, no, not at all. I don't want to be his agent. I manage him. I cook for him. I drive him up and down. I pay for everything. Right. So I do not feel a contract should exist between me and my son. So I refuse. And everyone out here is like, are you crazy? Because he's on this really good trajectory, but we don't know what the future holds. But I just personally feel there doesn't need to be a contractual agreement between me and my son. But he is proud because like agents can stand in a certain spot at football games. And when I got my ID card and I showed him, and he was like, wow, mama. He was like, but it's so funny. He's my manager in the sense of now you just can't take on anybody. They have to have a certain quality. I want to come with you to scout games. So football has really connected us. Johnny's not interested in football anymore. Johnny's just like, Mama, I'm so proud of you because you did it, right? But with Naeem, we talk more and understanding positions, and he'll test me. So it's been a connective tool for me and the boys. My daughter's like, "Who are you? Why are you telling me you're watching World Cup? Leave me alone."
We've got Nicole Walker says Carla has built an amazing life for herself and her family. I'm so proud of her strength, grit, personal and professional accomplishments. Well done and congrats again.
Thanks, Nick.
We've got Shika Rena says you're doing it all, Carla. Your clients are lucky to have you. We've got a
I don't have any yet.
Well, I think that's what Karen Edwards Simmons saying. Carla, do you represent any Bermudian young people as a FIFA agent, or will you represent UK young people? If not now, how can they reach out to you?
So I am actually, I've been approached so many times by men who want to partner with me for business, but also I've been networking. So I've met a bunch of people on the continent who I'm working with, but I'm not just going to sign anyone, right? There has to be, of course, a talent factor, a potential. It's not just about, I want to have 10 clients to prove myself, because I would rather have quality over quantity. Someone said to me, I have to get this off my chest. They said, so I guess you're just going to represent women and Bermudians. And I'm like, why pigeonhole me? I want to represent quality players. So if there are Bermudians who are quality players, and if it's a mesh between us, of course, I'm not excluding anyone. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm on all social media. It's really easy to find me, or they could just message Jamal and he could give me a message.
I want to ask you though, like, are you opposed to joining an existing agency, or would you rather try to build your own agency from the start?
Oh, funny you ask. Jamal, when have you ever known me to join something? No, I'm an innovator. So I've actually created an agency. My partner is a Gambian who lives in Denmark. So we have Lumina Sports UK. It's actually on all social media as well, but there's no content. We've quietly just created it and we're building it. So Lumina Sports UK is the handle on all platforms. So I don't know if you saw my TikTok, Jamal, but I am learning French because I do want to work on the continent as well. And it's a great language to learn. So I've given myself 18 months to become fluent in French. I can speak a little from high school, but I really want to become fluent so that I can do business in Europe, as well as on the continent. So that's my next challenge. And then I'm done with education, like done.
Yeah, just make sure you learn more than the rude words. We've got Charles H. Jeffs II says, your concern for your boy's connection to Bermuda is something that I'm concerned about. We are losing a generation of Black Bermudians, and there seems to be nothing that is being done to maintain connections. I like what you said, though, about, Naeem, your youngest son, playing for Bermuda's national team. But there are people, you said your older son isn't interested in football anymore. What concerns you about the amount of Bermudians who are leaving Bermuda and then their children having no connection to the island? Like, what concerns you? Again, because let's be honest, I'm saying our families built Bermuda, and then like the legacy is that their offspring are being pushed out, or at least they feel they're being pushed out.
So we do this thing like me and the children, because Kiki is still in Bermuda. And so we used to do this test with the boys, for example. We will test them on how many parishes. And that's actually when it stood out to me how disconnected they were, because we were like, how many parishes in Bermuda? They were like 12. It's like, oh my God, I have a fan. No, that's a mama. Naeem doesn't like salt water. It's like, what? You're an island boy. So they're they know Bermuda exists. They could tell you who's the premier. They could tell you who's the opposition leader and all of that. I do have a Bermuda flag that I keep up in my kitchen. We talk about Bermuda, but it's just I brought them out when they were so young. They've now spent more than half their life here. But they talk Bermudian. They eat Bermudian foods. It's funny. Naeem never ate a fish cake until we moved her. He was yearning for a Bermuda fish cake, and he likes them now, but he never liked them in Bermuda. Um, it is concerning. It really is, because even like I have a home and I'm talking to him about the house, and they're just like, give it to Kiki. We don't care. And I'm like, no, this is your country. But hey, I have to take the onus. I brought them, but I brought them to save them, because I don't feel that my sons would have had opportunities that they've had. I wouldn't have had the opportunities. I wouldn't have been able to educate my daughter. I wouldn't have been able to do my master's degree as easily if I didn't come here. So it has served a purpose, and I think, unfortunately, that's the price of it. But I people were amazed that I don't have a British accent. I'm like, I am a Bermudian. I don't need to have a British accent. So in their mother, I am a firmly rooted Bermudian, and you will never hear me dog out my country. And so I hope that love I have for Bermuda transfuses onto them. And I think once they're older, they would appreciate it a bit more, because they're still young, right? But I think once they get older, they will.
Indeed. Patricia Chapman, Dr. Chapman says, congratulations, Carla. Continue to pursue your dreams and make it happen. You rock, girl. Karen Edwards Simmons says, Carla, do you have all the Bermuda trivia and shoe by games to play with your young men?
I'm going to be very honest with you. These boys, they wouldn't play it. They wouldn't. They're footballing. Naeem's a full-time footballer now. Naeem footballs 9 to 5, 4 days a week, education, game on the weekends. When he's not footballing, he's in the gym and he's sleeping. So, but no, I will never let my boys not I would never let my boys not know about Bermuda. As long as I'm alive, it will never happen.
We've got Sherilyn Pringle says, my daughter has been going since she was 14. She is truly an American child, but does use Bermuda to impress. Look, you've done well for yourself. I mean, I think, just going back to the whole validation part, I think you came to a point where, you understood that you didn't need to be validated by people to be your version of successful. And I think that's important. But as you continue your journey, there are people who maybe don't have the opportunity to leave Bermuda, right? Maybe they may be single parents but can't leave because they may have a parent that doesn't want the children to go. What words would you give them as comfort to those who may want to leave and pursue opportunities and give their children the best opportunity to be successful?
So I'll do football related first. Because I always get this, what's a good time to bring your child? Realistically, if you don't have your child over here by 13, then it's going to be very difficult for them to pursue football on an elite level. Not impossible, but difficult, right? And some parents don't wish to do that. So putting them in schools, because this is the other thing. I know that football has become such a business for football families. And I would just say to you, be very careful. right? You don't need to pay anyone for your child to pursue and to progress in football. There are scouts everywhere, everywhere. So if your child is playing grassroots football, I've been in this industry for 10 years. Besides a few gym sessions, I have never paid out of my pocket for my children's progression. It was all off of natural talent. So, guys, please stop throwing money where you don't have to. Jamal, what was the other part? I'm of a particular age. I forgot the second half of the question. What advice you
Just
said?
advice you give to those for comfort who would love to leave and give their children the best opportunity, but they're in circumstances where they just can't pick up and go.
So, unfortunately, the realism is money, right? Rents have now skyrocketed. When I moved here 10 years ago, average rent was like 700, 800 pounds. Now, same area, my rent is 1,500 pounds, right? Moved 2 minutes away. In 10 years, all those prices have gone up. So you need to have money. I think that people need to stop thinking that you can come here and just live. You can if you have a foundation already here. So you may have a friend or a relative. But if you are coming like me, I came on my own. I had savings. I could say it now. And my daughter cried her eyes out. I used my daughter's college fund. I worked and saved up. No one gave me anything. If you don't have money, and I'm being serious, and people say, well, how much? And I would say a minimum of at least 15 to 20 grand Bermuda. Don't think that it's going to be a cakewalk. It's not. So if you're looking at a way out, just save every little bit that you save, because people would say, oh, well, I'll have you come and stay with me. People would tell you it's been a million times where that's all nice in the first month or two. And then in 3 months, you and your children's got to go. And you're like, well, where am I going to go? It happens a lot more than people care to acknowledge. And the other thing is, don't base your decisions on someone's life, because some people are struggling to survive, and they will pretend that they have the best of everything, and then you get out here and reality hits you. It's a housing shortage in the UK, just how it is in Bermuda. So you're not going to just come 9 times out of 10 and find a place in a week. You got to have grit. But it's doable if you want it. But you do not, whoever's listening to this and contemplating, do not come here without money. Don't.
It's that simple. Final question from me is, with your youngest son pursuing a football career, I read this morning somewhere that a Johnny Birchall, who was with Aston Villa as a youngster, suffered a bad injury. He's going to college in the US now. What is your youngest son's overall goal? Is it to be professional football? Is it to, if that doesn't work, does he want to coach? Does he want to be an agent? Where does he want to? Who's his team? I mean, can he say who his team is, even though he's a scholar with Bolton? Speak to us about that as far as he goes.
His team is like his godfathers. He's a United fan. Through and through, he is a United fan. Both is actually growing on me, but I'm all over the place. But he's a United fan. Naeem, from very young, has been very clear on what his goal is, and that is to become a professional footballer. And he is one contract away from doing just that. Now, like anything else, it's growth, right? And anything can change. That let's not be fooled by that, right? You just mentioned the Johnny Birchall. An injury can happen to anyone and can change his trajectory. People here have expressed to me, make sure he's getting his education. Naeem is highly intelligent, but Naeem has never ever liked school. And I tell people from the day he came out of me, he's hated education, but he's not dumb. So he has a business that he's growing quietly. I think if his football didn't go the way that he would like it to go, I think he would go into coaching because he's very tactical. But as far as, do I expect Naeem to go and get a degree in this? No, No, but if he wanted to get, I did my master's at 46. So if he wants to get his degree at 25 or 30, it's there for the taking. But right now, I used to think Naeem was abnormal because those who may have heard him speak, he's just not like the average kid. Doesn't need cakes, sweets, and all of that. But he also puts in the work. And so as long as he is putting in the work, I am behind him 100% to reach that goal of becoming a pro player until he can.
Indeed. We've got a comment on LinkedIn. Zamari Hartman says, I completely agree. Do not move out here without a plan, savings, or money. I've seen too many Bermudians live off the system and end up below the poverty line in the UK. I think that's anywhere. And I say it to people all the time. You know, if I was struggling, I would definitely find my way back to Bermuda, you know, where you should have a, you know, safe space and the like. Carla, before you head out, what you want to say to people? So many people do support you. So many people have continued to support you. Whether they're in the comments today or not. But what would you say to those who have rocked with you, but even those who maybe, you know, opposed you? What would you say to them about your journey so far?
Well, I definitely would like to say thank you. I live in gratitude, right? And it's no secret, you know, I am the primary provider for my children. But there have been people who have stepped in and they have bought a pair of boots each for the boys, or when we had to pay for their kits when they were at Odom. I've had a couple of people step in and buy their kits to take the burden off of me. I will never, ever forget that, right? So I am always appreciative of those who have helped. One time I had my cable cut off, right? And I had someone that said, hey, let me help you because I know you need internet to work. So I am very thankful, and I will always remain thankful. For those who don't support me, it doesn't matter to me because they truly don't know me. I'm actually really cool. But when people say to me, because I've had people say, oh my God, I thought you were like this because so-and-so said that. And I'm like, don't tell them any different and ruin my reputation. Because who is supposed to be in my circle and in my village are there. For example, and I have to call them by name, Tasha Bogerson and Bernal Simmons. They live not too far from us. We've been a rock for each other. It's so nice having another Bermudian family nearby. Both of our boys are academy scholars. We support each other in every way possible. From I had to have a surgery, Burns picked me up and brought me home. If Tasha needs to go to the grocery store, I would take her. We work together. The boys work out together. So it's so important to build a core and genuine village, even if it's just a little village of 4 or 5. I think that goes a really long way. So if someone doesn't like me or support, I had someone say to me, and they might be watching. So yeah, I'm going to say it. They were like, oh, congrats on your little agent thingy. Right. And that annoyed me because I worked hard for this. And this isn't a little qualification, but that's the sexism in it. Because remember, it's a male industry. So I'm just going to take my time, one client at a time, 1 year at a time, and I'm going to build. And I want to make a name for myself as a respected agent in this industry. And so I'm okay with that. So dissenters really don't matter to me. Who's supposed to be here for me will be for me. And thank you to everyone who's extended congratulations.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I don't want to hold you all day. I know you got to go looking for a coaching job from me.
Of course.
But no, thank you, Carla. Thank you for you know, sharing your story. And my hope is that when people hear journalists like yourselves, you know, they feel encouraged and become believers that they too can overcome whatever it is that's before them and you know, reach whatever it is that they're trying to get to. So thank you for your time. Thank you for trusting the platform and returning and having this conversation. And definitely a lot more to talk about at another time.
It's been 6 years since I've been on the Daily Hour stage, but I also have to say, Charles, nuts and chocolate chip cookies, gross. Okay. I've been doing that all this time. Ew.
You have a good day. Later.
Thank you for having me, Jamal. Thank you. And I hope that this conversation enlightens someone today.
Indeed. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Carla Zul, folks. And Charles says, I'm so proud of Carla. I know after that chocolate chip cookie thing. But no, definitely, folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, whatever platform you're on, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. I'll share a couple more comments when we come back from the break. But don't go anywhere. We've got a daily play coming up, and I'll give my final thoughts on today's discussion. All right. Stick with us. We'll be back in a few.
Yeah, I don't got this. I'm gonna be fast at delivery on.
Oh, really? Don't pay me enough for that,
Oh, no, sugar! Okay, who's the faster? Who's the faster than me? Talk to me.
No more stress, just sit back.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's loan guarantee program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Bermuda, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal, especially when you can feed the whole family without stretching your wallet. With the affordable Bermuda basket, you'll find savings on everyday staples like rice, chicken, corn, and more. Everything you need to make a good meal for less. Shop the Bermuda basket at Lindo's, Marketplace, the Garden Market, and the English Market. Visit costofliving.gov.bm to see the full list of goods and start planning your meals. This is a message from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit friesenbrook.bm to learn more.
Sometimes, all we need is to relax. Take our minds away from it all. A midday break from the busy day. And just a little time to ourselves. Relax, take a break, and unwind with Bermuda Trivia's crossword puzzle book. Available now across Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms to learn more. Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Carla for stopping by. Jamal Hartman here, folks. It's your the Daily Hour brought to you by our good friends at the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Again, if you appreciated that conversation with Carla, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible. It's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, are you ready? It's a remember when. And I just got to remember where I put the question. Give me a second. I'm coming. So remember when, Jamal, remember where you put the question for today. And here we go. Did I have it? Do I have it? This is what happens when you have so many tabs up. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. All right, folks? Where is it? No, that's not it.
That's not it. You all really get me today. Oh, here we are. See, I tell y'all I found it. All right, here it is. It's a remember when. All right, remember when. So clock match is over. And the last big sporting event after clock match for the summer is the Round the Island powerboat race. So this morning's question is from Bermuda Trivia, the sports edition. The first Round the Island powerboat race was held in what year? You all are Googling, but WKD Llama went for it. 1968 is incorrect. That is incorrect. Wow. Stacey Ann Brown and Shawnette Bell must have the sports edition and Nicole Walker because they came through. 1951 it is. Yeah, 1951 it is. You all are, that's what's up. That's what's up. Big up to yourselves. Jalen Johnson, 1951. I don't know if you all Googled or you have Bermuda Trivia Sports Edition. But hey, gotta head out. I want to say this. As far as this morning's discussion, one of my biggest gripes with clock match is the fact that there's little connection, it seems, with the players and the actual holiday being Emancipation and Merry Prince. I feel like if there was a deeper connection to that, you'll see a different result and fight for what this represents. I applaud both clubs, Somerset as the host for doing what was necessary to keep people safe, and both sets of teams for, the display on the field as far as the behavior comparatively speaking to last year. But at the end of the day, I think from a neutral perspective or a St. George's fan perspective, they'd like to see a more competitive game. Hopefully, St. George as a club are doing what's necessary to ensure that they can make comp match competitive once again. Again, congratulations and big up to everyone at Somerset Cricket Club for ensuring that it went over well eventually. As far as the conversation with Carla, I'm honestly, I'm going to be very direct with you right now. I applaud her journey, even if she was a stranger. And I'll tell you why. It's not easy coming up in Bermuda as an outspoken person, especially an outspoken Black person, and in her case, a Black woman. It's not easy. People make, their minds up about you without even meeting you or getting to know you. Ask me how I know. It's also not easy coming up where we came up, right? But the hardest thing is to leave Bermuda behind and try to build a life elsewhere. I think her love for Bermuda is as similar as mine. You want to remain connected as much as possible because you genuinely love Bermuda as your home. And I applaud her for doing what she can to try to ensure that her children, despite their lack of interest, have that connection to the island. But I think I really want to give her a lot of credit. And I hope that her journey inspires someone listening today. I really do. Because despite naysayers or, whatever's happened in the past, she's kept pushing, she's kept going. And I think she maybe got to a point where she realized, look, the only way I'm going to be able to get what I need, achieve what I want to achieve, is if I do it for me. And that brings me to the daily inspiration for the day. This comes from my book, The Journey Within. Quote, success is the best way to silence your critics, end quote. And I think that's what her journey has really been about. Being successful in her way and silencing her critics. All right, folks. tying the head out. But do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves on a regular basis. Folks, as always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.